Hello, Anthony Pender. Thank you so much for joining me on this special episode of Hospitality Talks, which is actually being held in venue at the closed Somers Town Coffee House in King's Cross. Just as I've asked everyone else to do as part of Hospitality Talks, could you just introduce yourself for those who don't know you?
I can indeed. My name's Anthony. As Katy said, I am one of the co-founders of Yummy Pubs alongside Jason and Tim.
Lovely, thank you very much. Now, we're actually on site today because you guys have been doing some pretty special stuff in the community, even though the pub's been closed. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so initially at the outset when we started the furlough scheme and it was clear that people were still allowed to leave the house to volunteer for essential work, a lot of our guys actually came forward proactively to us, asked what they could do, and it coincided with Greg at Only Pavement Away, saying that there were 8 people in temporary accommodation over near Paddington who needed food. So we said we could use some of our stock up that was going out of date and prepare food for them for a couple of weeks. 8 weeks later, it's 125 people, 3 meals a day, 3 to 4 volunteers a day cooking these meals and distributing it out. And full credit to the team here for doing that.
Brilliant, thank you. Now, eagle-eyed viewers will notice that there's quite a distance between myself, hello, and Anthony on this particular issue of Hospitality Talks. Anthony, why don't you tell us why that is?
We're obviously following on from Boris on Sunday, laying out some quite clear guidelines, getting a bit of structure to what we can do. And social distancing has been a big thing throughout this. And we're talking about stage 3, potential partial hospitality opening with strict measures, and what we will and won't be allowed to do. Big question marks if pubs will be involved in level 3 or if it will come later down the line. But we thought today we'd go through what it means for a venue like this, which is very desolate and empty now, to reopen safely. And what we're doing now is, if I go to here, this is actually 2 metres, so me working behind the bar as a member of the team, to where you were sitting, Katy. So it's quite a distance when you kind of compare it to the bar, given that that bit of tile down there is normally 2 deep with people crowded around the bar sort of 4 days a week trying to get a drink in central London after a long day in the office. So the implications of this are quite scary, and I guess we can walk around later and show the distances and what that means for furniture. But just looking at a bar as a servery, a massive contact point that every time someone touches it you should be cleaning. And second to that, how not just about our guests, but also how are our staff going to stay safe. So I've got to look after my said member of team here and the member of staff over there. Both have to be safe from spreading a pandemic between them. But this is an unworkable distance for what is a major part of going to the bar, the experience of approaching the bar, talking about the local car scales you've got on, finding out what product range you've got. And I know we can do online, but we're killing a bit of that pub experience.
Right, okay, thank you. So if we are looking to reopen a pub like this,
yes,
but with that social distancing, with possibly the demanded or required PPE, etc., can you talk us through some of the flashpoints that you're going to have and some of the preparations you'll have to make and some of the challenges that that's going to bring for you?
I think that there's 2 sides to this. There's number 1 will be the reality of what we need to do, and then the second one will be the perception. There'll be things that we need to do and change in the venue that won't actually help with the hygiene or the spread of the pandemic, but they're going to make customers feel it and they're going to make customers feel safe. So I think there's a level we'll have to hit, but I think we're going to have to go so much further than that to restore confidence in the consumer. It's a classic saying. And we're already having to think stages ahead of this, and the danger here is that we're all going to second guess each other before this even happens as well.
Okay, so if we look at places, for example, you say the bar's a massive contact area, where are the other areas that will be of concern, whether it comes to seating or toilets or anything like that? Where else would you find is going to be an issue?
The whole venue. If I move around the bar, I think the first and most important one will be right outside the front door here. Now, classic pub, 2-door entrances. The outer entrance is flung open so the pub looks open. The inside swing doors are there because they hold heat in. And we're coming through this, I know, initially opening potentially August, we all hope. It's going to be warm and these doors can be held open, but in the winter we need to hold the heat in, and that's what these doors achieve. Every single person who comes in and out of this venue is going to touch these doors. So the only way we can make sure that as a contact point that they are kept clean is, number 1, staff have to clean them every 15 minutes. But we're going to need a sanitize point outside, and we're going to need one inside the door here. So that's 2 points straight away, and you are relying on every member of the public, every guest, being diligent doing it on the way out and the way back in to stop that one contact point.
And does that mean that you might have to be forced to have people on the door to make sure that that is happening?
I mean, that becomes unviable straight away. We already look at it, say low trading periods. If even on the busy trade period, it's hard to justify having a doorman, and that's exactly what you're saying. And this pub has 2 entrances. You could even argue it has 3. We trade over 4 floors, so are we having to have a member of staff on each floor controlling the numbers on each site, on each floor? It's just not going to be cost effective. And at that point, you've got to say, well, is it a viable business to continue trading? It's a sad reality.
Okay. And what about your seating arrangements then?
Back to the tape measure?
Absolutely.
So what we've got here, and what I've been working on today, you see the laptop's out, we'll close that, is a booth seat and a loose seat here, and a standard width table. To give you an idea, a table for seating on both sides is 1.8 metres. So when you look at the 2 metre spacing, we've got to remove one in every seat, table and seat. So the capacity in this venue on this floor is 110. So we're dropping straight down to 55 fully seated. And I honestly believe that with the contact points at the bar, everything is going to have to be seated table service, and people aren't going to be able to vertical drink. Because we just can't guarantee, well again, that distance. If you hold that there, and we talk about moving around and we're chatting to each other in groups, for me to stay 2 metres away from you now, there's the bar there, you have to move right back against the wall. It's just, it's not going to work. And pinch points like this, where we've normally got tables, we're not in these large square glass boxes. Pubs are very traditional. They're old spaces that are, by their very nature, they've got nooks and crannies, and that's why people like pubs. It's the character.
Okay, what other flashpoints are we going to have within this pub, as we know it? I mean, other than...
On the main trading point floor, important ones to realise, back to the bench seating, that's not a sanitisable, wipeable surface. So fabrics are likely going to have to be replaced with leathers or faux leathers. Again, it's perception over anything else, but if you want to get a trigger spray sanitizer on that, you've got to change it. Menus will be a massive point, so people touching menus. So we talk about sustainability, we're either going to end up in a disposable society again, or we have to think around it. So our plans are to use chalkboards, which actually coincides, I don't want to go into it too much today, but we could have a real supply chain issue. So our ingredients could really vary from 1 week to the end, depending on demand, depending on accessibility. Even whilst we're closed doing the homeless meals, we couldn't get pasta for 6 weeks. So when we reopen, this could be the same. The supply chain is going to have to catch back up. So chalkboard menus on walls will be massively helpful, because we can interchange the menu quickly. We can take dishes off, add them back on. But at the same time, everyone will be reading off the chalkboard, because we don't want paper on the tables anymore. Right,
and then of course that will cause the issue that you'll have everybody getting up to go over to look at the chalkboards.
We're going to have lots of chalkboards. If you look again, this pub, we're probably going to need 4 different chalkboard areas so that people can read it from the table. Because again, we don't want to take away, if you're sitting down and getting table service, what's the point in getting back up again? We've got to create a very different experience, but it's still got to be a quality experience.
Yeah. Okay. And what about things, I've had some conversations with people about, cutlery and glasses and cleaning schedules and things like that. What have been your thoughts so far on that side of things?
It's really interesting. You've got friends in different industry, friends who are teachers. They're all finding it a real challenge to look at some of this stuff, but we do have COSH and HACCP policies in place, and hygiene and cross-contamination policies within our business already. So what we can do in restaurants, bars, pubs is modify what we have. And I have concerns, but I don't have large concerns, because actually at the moment, when we're washing up, we're using latex gloves. When we're preparing food, we already use latex gloves. And if we move from a raw meat section to a vegetable section, we're changing the gloves we're wearing. So a lot of these things are naturally in place. It's just got to be ramped up a bit more.
And it's the front of house that's going to cause the issues, because it's not somewhere that we've been used to.
The gloves will be the kitchen. What it's always been a back of house process will come into front of house. So regular changing the gloves. I really hope it isn't masks, but I'm looking at the legislation, the guidance, I should say, not legislation. It's saying that enclosed spaces should be well ventilated and people should wear masks. So I think we're already accepting that actually our staff will have to wear masks. It's very imposing. It's not friendly, but we're going to need to do it. But at the same time, it will happen, and PPE will become a workable part of working behind the bar, and we will have to reduce the contact points down with our guests. Where we always try to increase it for better experience, we're now going to move the other way and try and withdraw ourselves from the guest.
Yeah, and do you think tech has a part to play in this? I mean, I know that's very difficult to answer in a pub like the Somers Town, which is, as you said, traditional pub.
Yep.
But you know, what do you think overall for the pub industry and hospitality?
I think there's different areas to it. I think the first one is, again, back to your menus, ordering at table, pay at table. I think we've looked at people sort of saying, well, actually, do you have a device that you hand to someone? That's now out the window. Everything's got to be done on their personal device. The good point there again is that the menus become available on the phone. Available on the phone. Contactless payment, we're having to open up more gateways.
Yeah.
So Apple Pay and Google Pay, we've already applied to go up to a £300 limit through Verifone. And just more options. So Stripe payment services, pre-order services, so someone can actually pay before they even get here. Set price, set menu. We can cater to demand a bit more then as well. So it's going to have its challenges. Technology is always fraught when it's done over a sensible time frame, when you're implementing it into a live business or human interaction. We're asking our IT companies to deliver this in 8 to 10 weeks, so I'm sure there's going to be challenges, but I think we're going to see probably 3-4 years worth of innovation take place in 6 weeks, because we have no choice, and people will be working through the night now, I'm sure, on that. Venues have got to have good Wi-Fi services, and for the bigger venues as well, I'm sure that the head count services, and also I've even heard of people looking at people's body temperature as they're coming into pubs and venues. Now I think a couple of hundred capacity venue won't need it, but when we're looking at our big city centre London sites, they're definitely going to need some of this technology as well, and it's going to have to evolve so quickly, and what we start with in 8 to 10 weeks will quickly evolve by Christmas, if we've still got these measures in place, to have to be even more advanced and even more reliable, I think is the point. Yeah, okay, lovely. Right, well, thank you so much, Anthony. Now we best go because we've got 120 pizzas to make. We've got to make some serious pizzas tonight. Brilliant. Thank you so much for your time.